I'm just gonna have to be caressing my nose against Jill's neck, which is my preferred state.
Yeah, I think you're just
Anyway.
fine. I think you're finding an excuse to cuddle with Jill.
Your nose.
Aaron.
Hi. We're up close in person. I like it though.
Nose is code
For those
word.
of you that can't see this, we're getting real. We're snuggling on the couch right now. This is the cuddle cast.
It's a cuddle couch.
Good. I like
There's
that.
actually
That is
events in LA like you can go. It's
Pull
like
this
go to a
guy
cuddle
up
party,
behind him.
and there's like these
I think it's called a
rules.
cuddle puddle, right?
I don't. I thought it was just cuddle party.
Cuddle puddle.
I think I like to call it a cuddle puddle.
And you show up in like PJs and you just cuddle.
What are the rules?
I don't know. I was reading some of them and I got just bored. But it was
Yeah.
like
So if
basically
you were-
don't stick your penis in somebody, I think.
That's the only rule? I feel like there's probably more rules
There's
than
like
that.
probably 10 rules. Like don't be creepy, don't be a weirdo.
Don't be creepy. That's
Are there ones where you can stick your penis in the thing? Or
Those are called orgies.
Wait.
Completely different party.
Still a party though. And those both
All right, good.
both happen at Burning Man.
Good.
And then if you ascend deep into the playa, you have an anal fisting tent, which is also an
Oh
option.
my god.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Anal fisting tents are a thing.
Oh, I was
The
thinking about going to Burning
recovery
Man.
of the
But
rectum is
Yeah, I feel like ass play is
Brilliant.
super hot right now.
yeah. Just
have we
like that.
started recording?
Oh, we're recording.
This is actually the whole podcast.
This is it.
This is
The
whole-
pre-show.
Well, welcome to the Pleasure Monkey Podcast, where we talk about fisting tents and ass play.
Okay.
But no, I feel like Teen Vogue reported on anal sex and anal play.
Oh, I heard about that.
It was live in that Pleasure Monkey Life group. They were all about it.
I saw.
I also got my first hater from that.
I saw.
Ooh,
Okay,
I love when I
do you
hate
know?
haters.
Did you see the
Congratulations.
actual article? Because I saw a bunch of people posting hate on like, I can't believe Vogue is talking about anal, but what did it actually say?
So the article basically it was a really well written article. It was short. It wasn't
Yeah.
too in depth, but it talked about just kind of the ins and outs of how to and why. And I think a lot of people don't understand why. Like why use like what that's my out hole, you know.
Right.
But it was really well. It was informative, and it wasn't super inappropriate or illicit by any means, by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
But it talked about homosexuality and how it's, a lot of people, and the thing about it was in Teen Vogue, it actually made a lot of sense because you're looking at,
Yeah.
they're looking at normalizing the conversation around
Yeah.
ass play, essentially. Now, the hater that I got from the article said that I was irresponsible for not bringing up HIV and sexually transmitted diseases.
Interesting.
But my defense was, and that was my defense that I didn't even put out there, but it was that all we hear about is the negatives and that we're scared of sex, like the
Right.
boogeyman of sex. And it
Right.
was like, we get that. If you're putting your dick in something,
Yeah.
be careful.
Right.
Right, in
Okay.
general, it doesn't matter which.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where it is, what
Doesn't
hole,
matter which
whatever.
hole.
Yeah,
Right.
unless it's in glory hole, you can go in there for willy nilly. But no, but it's we get preached that from the jump, so it's kind of like
Yeah.
I don't feel like I need that disclaimer.
Yeah,
Of,
you're like, do we have to add that? Like, this is a different conversation.
yeah, this is like, hey, this is kind of why people would go about doing this,
Yeah.
and I don't know. It's
If
fun
I
stuff.
had a teen, okay, actually, I do have a teen daughter, and I actually,
What?
Here.
Did you forget?
well, I mean, I didn't raise her, so it's a little different, but, and she's actually 20, but I feel like if I was a parent of a teen, because I actually had some Jill and I got our nose pierced this weekend as her birthday, and I posted about just kind of self-expression, and this woman said, I'm raising teenagers and this is the kind of stuff, like I disagree with you because people just think they could do whatever feels good. And I'm thinking, if I was raising teenagers at this day and age, the reality is it's on the internet, so I would rather them get good information, hear it from me, or have a conversation and go, hey, did you see the Teen Vogue? Like, it's a great way to open up the conversation rather than just try to shove it under and act like it doesn't happen. I don't,
Yeah, and
I have a hard time with, I mean, I see the side of people saying, well, why are you talking about with teens? They quote unquote shouldn't be having anal sex. Whether they should or shouldn't isn't the point. The point is let's just have a conversation, because when they get to the point where they may, or the option is there, let's be responsible about it.
The worst thing is to learn your sexuality by accident. I feel like
Yeah.
that's shameful, you know.
Right.
And you have to clumsily bumble through to where, like, I feel like I had like a sexual awakening at like 29.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, oh, I've kind of figured out what I like and that I can actually explore. I just realized I had the option to explore in my
Yeah.
late 20s. It feels like that should happen earlier on in life, where you don't, you're hiding from it for so long.
What was the sexual awakening?
No, I mean just the real
Details, please. Details.
the realization
Photos.
that I could explore and change and and kind of push the limits a little bit. But I had a partner who like was doing some things that were like bringing up some feelings, and I had the awareness of myself to address them and be like, oh, I like that, or I don't like this, or this is, and then I started taking away the shame of exploration.
What does exploration mean?
Yeah, and also, did you feel like there was something that was missing up until that point?
Not until I got to that point, and
Right.
looking back, it was like, oh man, this wasn't that difficult to learn.
Right.
I could have.
been doing this
Somebody
stuff a
could have
long
just
time
been
ago.
like, hey, X, Y, and Z is normal,
Yeah.
and yeah, it wasn't
But
even.
you maybe didn't even know it was on the menu.
Yeah, it wasn't even. I wasn't even aware of it.
On the menu.
Please
I like that. You know
tell
what
me
though?
about the menu.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, the menu is a lot bigger than you think it is.
yes.
Yeah.
What is
and,
the menu?
And what I'm talking about, I mean, in the state of being
It's kind of like
transparent,
you get
and
a
like,
drink menu and you have to ask for the secret menu. There's another menu.
well, it's like when I grew up. It's just the same thing. We'll draw this metaphor. There's a metaphor and analogy. You guys can tell me later. But growing up, I drank Coors Light and Bud Light, and now I drink exclusively craft beverages. But I didn't know I didn't know what an old fashioned was until.
Well, I don't think
I
they
tried
really
an
had those
old-fashioned.
back then. The craft beer is a new thing.
I know, but just like nice drinks,
Well, I mean, here's like another perspective, and I didn't know you grew up in Amish country. And I don't know if you were Amish.
What?
But I grew up. Yeah, Alex
Were
just
you?
said he grew up in Amish country. Were you
You
Amish?
mean Aaron?
Aaron. Sorry.
Alexander.
What did I say?
Close
It's two
enough.
first names.
Alexander.
Sometimes it's confusing.
Did I
Two
call you
first
Alex?
names. Means I'm a serial killer.
I don't know what I said. Anyway, whoever you are. Were you Amish? You weren't Amish. You just grew up around there.
I grew up in and around the Amish, but no, I wasn't Amish. I grew up in kind of like pretty normal, whatever normal is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I grew up
you didn't.
Mormon, and it was very like you don't have sex before you're married. You don't neck. They call it necking. Like you basically don't
Yes.
even kiss before you get married. So this conversation it's just like, it's one of those things where it's just not allowed. You don't talk about it because it doesn't happen, even though it happens. And so I think for a lot of people, the argument is just, teens shouldn't even be allowed to have sex. So this conversation is off the table. I have a different perspective on that. And I don't think I'm right or wrong. I don't think there is a right or wrong, but I just think it's a different thing. And I can see why some people who maybe are in Christian religion or something like that they don't want this out there for their teens to see. But on that token, it's also a free country, and they don't have to necessarily buy a subscription to that magazine for their teenager.
Well, Instagram is essentially,
Yeah.
if you're a 12-year-old boy and you're following some of these Instagram models that I may or may not be following, you're getting the full full
Right.
menu right there.
Yeah.
It's like a black hole.
It will suck you in. But I mean, if you understand what it is. But even like Instagram, Total Frat Movement, those guys, shout out to Total Frat, I love those guys. But they posted an article about how like they had to unfollow Instagram models because it was just ruining their expectations for real. Like if you have a dad bod and your primary mode of exercise is your 8 a.m. tea time on Sunday, then you're probably not ending up with an Instagram model. So you might as well just get your head out of your ass and start living in the real world, bro.
Well, one of the things I have to tell you about a dad bod is that they've shown that women are actually more attracted to men who have dad bods because they're more accessible. It makes them feel better about themselves.
Connor, you're out.
They exclusively.
I don't know
They
if it's an
exclusively pull
objective.
the skinny fat chicks.
Well,
Skinny
no.
fat chicks love guys with dad bods.
I don't
They
know,
belong
actually.
together. They need to stay together.
I actually don't know that it's skinny fat. I think for me, I think it's women who are just a little bit less secure. Like I want the person I'm with to be like actually in shape because I'm trying to be in shape, right?
Yeah.
But like I think a lot of these women who said that they liked the dad bod or preferred that wanted to feel more in shape than the person they were with.
Well, and I think the dad bod is super obscure too, because the description that we got of the dad bod was like works out 3 to 4 times a week, but still drinks beer. Which I feel like
I feel like the dad bod is like the skinny arms and just has a little belly.
I feel like to me, a dad bod is like you got like a cylinder arm that's really
Yes.
kind of like a cankle, but
Yeah.
on your upper arm, it's
Yeah.
like straight, and you're like your chest doesn't do any.
Right.
It doesn't really do anything. It's more like flat.
And then you've got like a little
And
flabby.
you got a little thing, but you hide it under like a Columbia fishing shirt most of the time.
fishing shirt.
And it's
Yeah.
just like and
Yeah.
you just walk around. And
It's
do
like
your
you're
thing.
an average guy.
Yeah, who like it really doesn't
Which is great.
exercise much,
Which
which
is
is
great.
totally fine.
I'm
You're probably,
actually
you know-
I
curious.
feel like we're being like
He
a little
probably,
bit
that dude, that
judgmental.
homeboy's not slaying the puss dragon if he looks like that.
I'm curious of all of you guys.
But it's not.
actually.
It's about stability.
Okay, do you
consistency
like
is
to
the
be the hot one
killer.
in the relationship, or do you want to have the person you're with be hotter than you?
I like to be up and up.
I think I feel like I like to be the hotter
pushed.
one.
Really?
Yeah,
no,
I
I
think
definitely
so.
don't have that.
I don't know. I date up for the most part.
I would
I-
much
yeah,
rather.
interesting.
Yeah,
I've never
either.
well, it
really
depends on
felt-
what it depends on what I'm doing, and what the connection's like.
I
Really.
feel like if a guy's more in shape than me, then I don't know. I feel like I'm being judged if I'm not in better shape than him. So I feel like I gotta be better.
I feel like you should look inward to solve that
Yeah.
conundrum.
No, I mean, as we're just talking about it, it's like coming to me. I'm like, maybe that's why I don't date like guys who are super ripped.
I've never really thought about it as dating up or dating down. I just personally have never been super attracted to like the typical J. Crew male model. I always like someone who's a little bit like maybe not as universally attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's something
But
too
I don't
about
think about like
an
them being
outlier.
attractive. I'm more attracted. Like I've never thought about it in that capacity.
I'm thinking
But I
more of
like
like
the more-
body type, like fitness level.
I
Like
need
better
to
at
be-
exercise.
It's a value system, isn't it? Isn't it a value system in
Yeah.
a way? Like it's kind of like if you show that you take care of your body, like that's how I am, and like that's a priority
Yeah.
of mine. I go to the gym, I do whatever, and I think there's something about that's attractive about just having that same value system that. And it's not that I couldn't be attracted to someone who didn't. It just would be a lot. I probably wouldn't be immediately.
Have you guys
Yeah.
ever noticed when you enter a room, enter a car, meet with a person, have a hug, anything, the very first thing I think everyone does, I know for myself, is smell the person or smell the room. Start paying attention to it. You're always doing it.
Smells are super
I
super.
don't.
Every time you give a hug, this is the first thing you're gonna do. Now that you're hearing
Yeah,
this, you're
I'm
like,
like-
"Mother, he was right. I'm always smelling."
Everyone here smells pretty good. We're all really pretty close right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
over
dude,
here
smells
because-
smells
Believe
carry
my
a lot.
beans.
Smells carry a lot of weight emotionally too.
Yeah.
You can smell if you smell a smell. I could smell my like high school girlfriend's like perfume and be like, oh, well,
I
that's
know.
that. It's a weird.
I think there's some
Drawback.
confusion. There's some potential for confusion from people from like a pheromone perspective, where if you're covering yourself in deodorant and perfumes and things of that nature, and you're not actually able to smell the scent and the natural pheromones of the individual, I think that can potentially, maybe possibly throw people off a little bit. Have you guys heard like the T-shirt study?
Yeah,
Familiar with that
is
at
this
all?
the one that has to do
What
with
is
birth
that?
control?
Maybe that might have been thrown in there. I'm not really sure.
Tell me about the
let's
T-shirt
let's have an
study.
intellectual
we
pitching
should
contest right now.
we should do it later. So the T-shirt.
We're gonna have to get real moist.
Turn the cameras off.
We have to do some laps around the house. So the T-shirt study, so everyone's wearing a T-shirt. All right, and so then it's
Girls
like,
and
say-
boys.
yeah, like 50, 60, 70 people.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact number of people that were in the group, but let's call it 65 people. And they spend the day, they say, all right, here, you all get this white T-shirt. You're going to walk around, spend your day, just like exercise and get sloppy, get sweaty. And you're going to come back, and we're going to have this little get-together gathering party. And you're going to put your your sweaty T-shirt into a baggie. And then we're going to mark it, give it a little code, not with your name, and then we're going to pass that T-shirt around, and then we're just going to kind of do like a dating game and see who's attracted to what smell.
Oh my god.
And what they find is the people that you end up being attracted to someone that completes your, it's an immune system thing. So
Interesting.
if genetically they end up being strong against XYZ thing,
Right.
and if your immune system is deficient in that realm, then you end up being sexually aroused by that person because you want to procreate and make something that's like a strong super transformer
So how do we
child.
make an app
So this
instead of
is-
swiping right and swiping left on Bumble, where you like
You gotta smell the phone. Scratch,
You're like,
scratch and
scratch.
sniff.
and then you
scratch and
you
sniff
scratch
Tinder.
and smell app,
That's
and
gonna
then
be so
you get
awful.
matched with people by how like
No, smell is
smells.
super important.
It is.
really
No, but
interesting.
what's funny that they did that
Super
study with
interesting.
the one I heard of was they did 4 shirts per person with the same idea, but the only people who couldn't distinguish based on their immune system were women on birth control
Yeah.
Oh.
because you're tricking your body into thinking that you're pregnant
Yeah.
essentially constantly. So you're turning that gear off. So
My ex-girlfriend went crazy when she was on birth control.
They
And
all
at the
go
time,
crazy.
I was like
That was crazy.
21. I was like, this is awesome, but when she was taking birth control, now I'm like, no, like, if you're with me, you're not. Unless it's something you need and you're responsible for your own body, of course, but
Yeah.
like, I would strongly prefer you be as natural as possible.
you're gonna resent her for the entire relationship if she's on birth control.
You're
is what
gonna
saying.
resent
That's what I'm saying.
That's gonna be toxic,
saying,
and that
yeah.
you can't.
No,
can't
because there's
handle it.
there's other hormonal things and whatnot,
Yeah.
and things
No,
that like
there's
it's kind of
really-
a little bit out of my depth to be like, no, baby, like I'm the boss with this. But if it's just like we're taking birth control for because we don't make babies, I'm like, no, we can do better.
Yeah, there's better ways. to
Pull
do it.
out.
Yeah.
Speaking from the girl who got pregnant at 15 from pullout, I'm going to say that works well.
That was a joke.
Hang on.
I will
Joking
say
serious.
I'm 100% success rate at pullout. So
That's what I'm saying. I think pullout's great.
I think what the problem was I wasn't doing the pull and pray part. I wasn't praying. So once I started adding the pray, it's been great since.
Yeah, pull it.
Not had a knock-up situation since then.
Do you guys know the water guy, Miyamoto? No, not Miyamoto. That's Miyamoto Masashi.
Yeah, I was thinking what?
Emoto,
Water.
the Japanese water guy.
No.
All right, so I think
the
this
water
could
guy?
relate to semen, and you praying for your semen. Hear me out.
Always comes back to jizz with Aaron.
Hear me out.
I've never done a podcast that
Praying for your
isn't about
semen.
jizz.
Never say that.
So Emoto, you guys got to look him up. You have show notes? Get some show notes up on this bitch if you don't.
We're gonna exclusively have show notes for this
This
episode.
show has show notes. All right, so on the show notes you'll see Emoto.
I'm trying to look up stuff right now, but
Yeah, and so Emoto, he shows water crystals in various different. I feel
oh
like
yeah,
a
and
lot
you
of
like
people know
you
about this.
say
Everyone
like
knows
you
about
love it and it's like pretty.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then
Everybody's seen
yeah.
this now. This is all new. So let's just bring it back to the semen. So
Did they start screaming at semen?
no, but we can continue the experiment here.
Oh.
So from what you're saying of the prey, just for a wacky thought, it's late enough to start thinking about that. Perhaps we're changing the crystals of the semen as you're having a prey. Now, I mean, that's just a silly, ridiculous thing that I'm saying, and I think there might be something to it, but
There actually might be.
it is a
something.
relevant thing to think about as far as 80% of your body is comprised of water.
Right.
If our thoughts have this impact on water crystals
Yeah.
in a cup,
Like
they
if
are
you're having
absolutely
aggressive
affecting
sex, you'll
us.
have like a really jerky baby.
Exactly.
My kids are gonna be assholes.
Was that like a pun? That's good.
And Teen
was-
Vogue
I'm gonna do
back
it. And
around.
back to talking to
end the
teenagers. Like,
episode
well,
And
you're kind of
we-
being a pain in
that's
the
the
ass right
end.
now because you were conceived in a very aggressive manner. Like, it's like I had the scratches on my back for 6 weeks, but not have you for 18 years.
That's actually a very interesting thought. Like the water crystals, and it was like, wasn't it like he would say happy, or like there were certain emotions to each water and then negative emotions. So
Yeah, so various different music, various different places. So
It
water
would
from
be
a
a-
sewer versus water from like a natural
yeah,
spring.
it'd be very interesting to have a experiment. Although I don't know what you do with the kids who end up in the shitty sperm pool, but I'm sure there's a lot of us we're probably from that actually.
Yeah. It's funny because like I give my mom a hard time for making like really terrible decisions, and she continues to do so. But I was also a really terrible decision that she made. Like she was super irresponsible and had me, so I'm like, I can't be that mad at her for like making bad decisions because here I am. Like, but then I also think it's like karma that she makes terrible decisions and she has a 30-year-old man like criticizing her constantly for it. So I'm like, well,
It's
it all
all
works out.
It's all
It's
karma.
what happens. See, like you should have learned your lesson by now. Jesus Christ, it's been 30 years. But whatever.
That's the character builder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the only
She
way
just
to
learned to embrace it.
That's the only way to do it.
While we were on here, I've been trying to pull up. John Romanello made a post the other day about talking to his 11-year-old about masturbation. It was the best post ever.
Oh my God, I
But
can't
for
wait to
whatever
have an
reason, my
11-year-old
phone is not working. But he was saying, he was talking about how porn was so hard to get back in the day, like if in magazines, like you had to work for it. He's like, so be thankful for your parental controls now, but it's so different with the internet now.
It is.
I know, like, because when you guys were saying about the internet models making it hard for people and making it, it's too unattainable. That is actually a big issue with porn and magazines, where there's men who are addicted to that, and the normal women don't measure up to like these airbrush models, and suddenly
Or
they
even on
can't.
Instagram, right?
Right, like they no longer can get off to a real person because they're used to this fake airbrushed whatever reality that we've manufactured. Your mic is down.
Reality in air quotes.
In air
Yeah,
quotes.
exactly.
Yeah, I used to covet pornography as a kid. We like if I found like a magazine, or when I found
You
a
had like
mag-
the
it
Victoria's
wasn't
Secret
an
like catalog.
Oh
or
man, I
something like
remember
that
it. Yeah,
was-
my friend's
or, like
place.
Sports
Oh
Illustrated.
my God, the
Yeah.
Sears catalog.
I used to watch Sex and the City for hours on HBO, just hoping for some titties. Like, and it's actually so. My partner now and I we're she's awesome. She's like my favorite person. We're like best friends. It's really cool. And one of the early times, like we met and we weren't really either one of us wanting to pursue an like super serious relationship. But as like we say is that our souls fell in love and they just started smashing our meat bodies together until we like figured out a way to make it work. But early on, I remember we had just hooked up. We were like making a snack or something. I don't know. And I remember saying like the 12-year-old version of myself, if he could see this right now, would be so stoked. Like everything that just happened.
She's super hot.
She's gorgeous and she's awesome. And it's just like it's so funny. But I think about that. Like I was kind of reflecting like, wow, if he could just go back and see this, like he would go back to school, go back to 8th grade or whatever, and just be like so excited.
You're gonna be fine.
My life's great. He would have had so much more confidence.
Do you guys ever do the thing where you talk to yourself as like your 50-year-old self or whatever is older than you? You know, so 10 years from now, 20 years from now, go back and look at you and actually give yourself advice?
I've meditated that. I've been that way before. Tara Brach has a really cool meditation about that. But I haven't, not that far out. I've gone 5 years.
It's a good thing to do. Take advantage of
beautiful.
it.
You should do it more
Yeah.
often. You know, I was reading this thing 'cause last year. I was trying to figure out more about how to tap into your intuition, and one of the things was looking at yourself like if you're 100 years old and telling yourself like looking back now. And I don't do it enough. That's a really good way to look at things.
What do you tell yourself?
A lot of things.
Anybody.
One thing was really interesting. So Dan and I were talking about this yesterday. Both of us had like very different realities like 2, 3, 4 years ago. We kind of laughed that we like lived our 40s and our 20s. We were just like married. We had like super secure jobs. Like it was just very like certainty oriented, and we loved it. And so what we were talking about yesterday was, remember when we had that lifestyle, we loved it then. There was nothing that we wanted that was different. And now we have this lifestyle now. Both of us are single. We're just, we're divorced from 10-year marriages. We're in a new place. Businesses are going well, like all this kind of stuff, mid-30s. And we love this too. And that makes me feel really good about whatever the next chapter is. The fact that I can love that reality. I can love something that's 180-degree different. And then I can also love the next thing. So it's kind of cool. Like, just makes you feel good that wherever you end up, and it feels like affirmed that like you'll find a way to make the best of it, regardless, even if it's like a literally 180-degree different.
Totally.
Yeah, we get attached to things being the way that they are.
Yes.
Well, especially if you're
and
certainty oriented, which I think, I mean, that's a key need of the human brain. Some of us are more like autonomy driven. Some people are more certainty driven. And we had this conversation too. I think I'm a little bit more certainty driven. You're a little bit more autonomy driven. And it's hard to flip the switch when you don't have that sense of security. You don't have that sense of certainty, and you're kind of in that discomfort. And being able to be comfortable with discomfort is like, God, it's like one of the hardest things, but it's also so transformative. And then you're like, I can handle whatever. Like I'm actually, not only do I know I can handle whatever the next chapter is, but I'm actually kind of excited for it. Like I'm excited to see like what's next. Let's do it. Like, and that was a really cool realization.
Totally.
That you can literally uproot your entire life, be in a new city within a month, and be like, I live here now. I have new friends. I have new community. I have new. Well, you did this. I mean, you've been here what, 9 months?
It's
8
7
months?
7 to.
And I mean,
don't know.
you
I
knew
say
people-
6. I said 6 like the day I moved here. But
4,
6 months.
2.
And I'm like,
You're like, it's
shit,
been
I don't
actually
even know.
like
I've been saying
3,
6 months for the
but-
last 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know you had acquaintances here, but like you have a whole new community, you have a whole new support system. And, I lived in Australia for a month by myself. And by the end of the month, I was like, I could totally just stay here. I have a community, I have a gym, I have, I met people, I had a social life. I could have just totally stayed. And it's cool to have that experience to show yourself that you'll be okay wherever, And so, I don't know, I like it.
Yeah, we had that conversation yesterday in the car, and it was like, Jill was saying, when I was in North Carolina and I was married, and it was perfect. And I was like, me too. I loved my
it.
life. I loved
I
my
didn't want
life.
anything different. I didn't feel, that's why I asked you,
Yeah.
did you feel like things were missing? I never felt as if anything was missing.
Yeah.
And now I'm here and I'm like, this is amazing too.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's super cool. Like, and we have a mutual friend too who recently broke up. She was kind of doing the breakup with a boyfriend, get back together, break up, and we were talking about being single. She's like, "Oh my God, being single is terrible," and I was like, "It's fine. It's actually, it's okay. I mean, and
Yeah.
it's just a mindset and deciding where you are right now. If you could be okay with where you are right now, like you have to just go, all right, this is what we're doing.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Wherever you go, there you are. Exactly. I love that quote.
Yeah,
I fucking love that
It
quote.
is funny. It's fun to pick on it, and it's also fun to.
I love
remember it.
that
It's
It's
also
quote.
like where
fantastic.
you place your value, right? Like I think for me, for such a long time, and I can only speak for myself, the value was, oh, this one person chose me, and that therefore I feel valuable, or I feel worthy, or I feel whatever. And then when that starts to unravel, you go, okay, I need to find my purpose and my meaning from a different outlet. Where is that going to be? And for me, it became my business and doing things on my own and like all that kind of stuff. And so it just your purpose transfers. So for I think a lot of people, it's their children, which is amazing too. For me, my business is my baby. I think for you too. And then you just go, I'm actually okay if I'm never in a long-term relationship again, or I don't ever sign a piece of paper or whatever ever again, because I know that I can fill in those gaps from other sources. So it's like kind of scary to get to that place, but it's also really like fun and amazing.
If you can learn
and
to
unexpected.
If you can learn to
Yeah.
enjoy being uncomfortable, because you're in a new place. Like
Yep.
if you can enjoy the novelty of and embrace the novelty of being in an uncomfortable situation, in an
Yes.
uncomfortable place, and then what happens is you're actually there. Like you really enjoy it. You almost hit a flow state within your day-to-day life, because you're now, oh shit, like I'm actually moving forward in something that no one else can really see besides me in this moment, and I'm ready for it. Let's
Yeah.
do this. Let's fuck things up. Fuck things up. And then you're super
Fuck shit up.
yeah, I'm here to fuck shit up. And then you're super open to experience. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well now if I'm actually here, if I'm actually present in the now, then I'm ready to experience things.
Yeah.
And then the experiences will come your way because your eyes are open to them. Versus this place of thinking and trying to decide what's right and playing this, like putting the puzzle pieces together.
Yeah.
One of the things that I work with a lot of women is they always say, I'm scared to make the wrong choice. They say, I'm so scared to make the wrong choice, or I'm making I find it really interesting, and I think maybe Danny, you would agree, that there's no like wrong choice. It's just the first choice, and then from there it's like a series of decisions from there, right? Like I'm going to move to California, or I'm going to leave my marriage, or I'm going to do this thing, or I'm going to leave my full-time job, or whatever it is. That's always the hardest one. And then from there, it's just like, okay, I left my full-time job. Now what? And then it's a series of smaller decisions. And so I think there's something so powerful in it's just whatever path you choose, and then you just make the best of it. And trusting that, I think, is really tough.
Yeah.
I think Tim Ferriss talks about this a little bit, and he I think it was Tim Ferriss, but he talks about the cost. As human beings, we're really, we need to understand that we're really, really efficient at analyzing the cost of action. Like if I leave my marriage, what's the cost of that? What's the potential downside of that?
Totally.
What's the potential downside of quitting my job? What's the potential downside of starting a business? We can do that with everything, and if we flip the switch with a little bit of awareness, we can say, what's the cost of not doing that?
doing it.
What's it look like a year from now in an easily attainable or understandable amount of time, right?
Yeah.
So if I feel this intense desire to leave my job and go out on a limb and do something and take a chance, or leave my relationship, or whatever it may be, you think, okay, well, what if this happens, or what if I'm wrong? What if you're not wrong?
Yeah.
Like we look at it, what's the cost of inaction?
I always look at, I already know what I have. So, my family, I was working for the government. I had a very steady job and left, and my family was like, oh my God, but you have good benefits. But I was like, I already know what I have, or I know what the life looks like if I go to college and get a job and get married. I know what that looks like because I can look at all of you who did that. So if I try something different, I know I can go back to that.
It's always going to be there.
So it's like, for me, it was just always of like, well, I'll try something new, because if I don't like it, I know I can go back. I already know what it looks like if I do X, Y, Z. So let's try ABC and do it. And then if it doesn't work, I'll just go back to the first thing. And I've never really found myself going back, but I know I can. And I think that also helps. You just go, like, if you just go, look, I already have the results here. I know what that's going to look like. If I do this, if I follow this formula, I'm going to get this result. So let's just try something else, because I know I could go back. And maybe sometimes you can't go back. Like maybe you quit a job and you can't get the job back, but you're
Get
still going to be
another job.
okay, right?
There'll be another job in the
you're
same-
still going to be
yeah.
okay. You're not
Yeah.
going. It's not the. Nothing is the end of the world. Like it's not the end of the world.
Well, you're accumulating experiences that add to
Yeah.
your value in life, and
Totally.
you can take those. So say you do make the decision to to take the jump and do some
Yeah.
whatever that thing is, well, then you're gaining experience to take into the next thing, whatever
Yeah.
that is. And those experiences, because they're in a different lane, perhaps, like, don't all go away.
Right.
You're gaining some knowledge, and like, what is it? Aaron, you're going to be able to do this, but through one thing, you may learn many things.
Oh, I don't know.
Is it Miyamoto Musashi?
Sounds good,
Miyamoto
though.
Miyamoto
sounds
Musashi.
really
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I intentionally butchered that so you could save the day.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
keep
Let
it
me
up for
let
you.
me save the day and butcher it even more. No, I actually don't. I mean, yes, I've heard that, but yeah, something I don't know how to say.
Yeah,
better,
the Book of
but-
Five Rings, I believe. That's
One
what
of the
it
things
is.
was
Good
really
one.
interesting what you said about, just that people feel like they're so more scared about like missing an opportunity or something like that. I think they've actually shown in research that people are like 5 to 10 times more fearful of what they're losing than the potential for gain. So they're constantly thinking about, if I leave
FOMO.
this job or if I leave this relationship, I'm missing out on all these things, versus the potential for gain seems way less potent.
Yep.
Because how could it? Because you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
And I found that really interesting, and it makes complete sense because
Super
we've
interesting.
seen. But it's kind of like it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't.
Yep.
At some point, you have to make the decision of like, okay, I know I'm not living up to my full potential here, or I know there's more for me beyond this job or beyond this relationship, or I know that I'm kind of miserable here. But I'm also super fucking scared to take the next step.
Yep.
So it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't.
Yep.
And so a lot of people stay
Yep.
in relationships
Yep.
that they don't love, and in jobs that don't challenge them,
Yep.
in situations that they, you know what I mean? So because it's like, well, at least it's familiar.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the
It's safe, or it's the quote unquote right thing. Like,
What's-
well,
yeah.
I have it, and I know I've got. This was one that I could see happening a lot in my family, and it's like, well, don't be ungrateful. Like, at least you have a job, or at least you have a spouse, or at least you have. So some people stay in something because they're like, well, no, other people don't have a husband, other people don't have a good job, so I should be grateful. But what's wrong with wanting more, or feeling like there maybe is more out there for you, or maybe it's, what's that quote, something about like, don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the great. And that was always something that stuck with me, is like,
Or good is
okay,
the enemy of great.
yeah, like
That's the one.
sometimes like things are good, but good is good enough. Like, fine, it's good, but could it be better? And if it could be better, then why aren't you going for better? So yeah, I think that's an interesting.
The foundation
too.
has to be fulfillment, though, right? Right.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
if it's always, I think that the way that we do, we kind of have our perspective on like what. Okay, I want more, or I'm satisfied here, or whatever it is, and you take that mindset, that
Yeah.
perspective, wherever you're at. It's like you're always where you're at. Right, and so if you have $1 million, then you immediately want $1 billion. Then it's like Robin Williams is such a perfect example of this, where it's like he lived the perfect life, like
Right.
10 out of 10, he nailed it,
Right.
and then there he was,
Yeah.
like in his living room or wherever it was, and it's like,
Right.
okay, so he's just, I don't know Robin's situation, but said individual is just pushing their kind of barometer forward and putting it on another situation, but we never actually looked under the hood.
Yeah.
So it's like, Alan Watts is somebody that I know Connor likes a lot.
I like him too.
As like, he says like the headlights always face out, right? But they never see the engine.
Right.
So you never actually get through and able to really look inside
Yeah.
and see like, what the hell is going on in here?
Yeah.
You just see what's in front of you now, and you forget what's behind you because it's dark now.
Yep.
So if we can somehow start to kind of redirect a little bit, and I think to do that, it takes, space, it takes quiet, it takes patience,
Yep.
it takes time maybe,
Yeah.
it takes whatever it is. I was going to joke and say drugs, but, it takes,
that's
But
not
it's
a
not a
joke.
joke.
That's not a joke.
But but
remember
real
what
life.
remember what podcast you're on.
But
yeah, no, exactly.
But hashtag real life.
But I think we talk about that, and I use the term reflection a lot for that. And you can choose to reflect on your expressions in life, and see what's behind your eyes, or the beauty behind your eyes, as I like to call it. Which mushrooms are a great tool to expose that. But or something else can show you will give you no choice. Like forced reflection. And the sad thing is, a lot of times, that's when you're laying on a fucking hospital bed nearing death. And you're
exactly.
like, oh, shit. And you see, I forget the nurse's name. Aubrey Marcus talks about it all the time. But she would poll people that were on their deathbed. and they would have these profound ideas and things that they didn't do and didn't go for and what they would have done differently. It was almost universally like I wouldn't have worked so hard because it really didn't add a lot of value to my life, and I would have spent more time doing things and being with people that I loved. And that's universal. And I see that trend in like a forced reflection. You have the loss of a loved one or a loss of a very deep emotional connection in some way, or a near-death experience, or a profound experience with some kind of psychedelic, or something that gives you no fucking option but to look back into yourself and dive into yourself. From that moment forward, there isn't any looking back. You know, you've then opened the doors of perception, as Aldous Huxley says, and you can't unsee it. You can't unfeel it. You can't untouch it.
But it doesn't always necessarily translate into action, is the thing. And
Absolutely true.
That's why
It's
hippies
true.
are fucking annoying. You know?
It translates into inaction a lot of times.
Okay, I
It
have a
translates
question
into
though. Like,
disconnection.
for each of you, when was your last forced reflection?
A few days ago, I went to a baseball game with a friend that you guys all know, and we
Who is it?
Mary Shanuda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mary.
Paleo Chef. Hashtag Paleo Chef. Go check out Fat Fudge.
Shout out.
So good, yeah. And so we were at this
Did you go to the
baseball
Dodgers?
game, Dodgers and the Padres. Yeah, and afterwards, I was like, I don't do sitting very well, which you guys, this is very, very special experience that I'm like, I'm over here still sitting.
Let's talk about it. You're on the floor,
It's
bro.
a very big deal. I am on the floor.
Yeah,
That's
you were
true.
on the chair when
the
you
only reason
started.
you're like actually still right now is because there's a plug.
I literally
attached to
can't
your
move.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys like put a muzzle on me essentially.
Oh
I'm just
my
like,
God.
okay, I'll be right here.
Okay.
I'm just gonna talk. Fuck. And so yeah, so I lead with my body. You know, I lead with my movement. I lead with like its very physical expression and all that stuff. Like that's the way that I communicate the best. And I think everyone's kind of sort of like that, but it's whatever. But so I was playing and moving and climbing trees and getting yelled at and told to like, you can't climb that, like we're gonna arrest you, and I'm like, fuck off. And then and then I'm just like in my little video game virtual reality thing, and then I climb up this tree. And then I'm hanging off the branch. I'm like, oh, that's like a little high. And then I let go, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be okay. And I come down, and I just like what I felt to be like a perfect landing, like just like nailed it. And then I cruise along a little bit, and then all of a sudden I felt like this, like a few minutes later, all of a sudden in my body, it felt like there was something wrong. I was like, I don't know what this is. There's something awry here, And then all of a sudden I start feeling something in my foot, and I'm like limping a little bit. I'm like, oh no! And I get these visions of, I had a friend rock climbing. He fell and he shattered his calcaneus, which is the heel bone, and like turned into powder. And so I'm walking, and all of a sudden I'm just like, oh, like my whole body's going, oh my God, like, did I just shatter my calcaneus? Like I immediately jumped to that.
Right.
And it goes from leading with my ego, leading with my, like, I'm physically dominant, I can do all these things, to all of a sudden I start talking to Mary like a little kid. And she's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm okay. Okay. And I'm just like, like all full shutdown. And it's those moments that are really, truly are, like, it sounds so cheesy, but they are really, maybe not the most valuable, but so valuable.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to lead with your machismo. It's so easy to lead with the your attributes that like you prefer to lead with. You prefer to show the world this. And all that does oftentimes is just kind of, shrouds the rest of you, because you just lead with the positive.
Mm-hmm.
But what'd you get out of that? Like the thought of, oh fuck, what if my heel's broken?
Oh, just that I'm mortal. Just that I'm, it's like maybe I should be conscious that like that was kind of a high tree, and I just fell straight to pavement after like
concrete, not grass.
That was 40 feet that I just jumped.
straight into pavement. And it's just like one of those moments where like, oh my God, like I could fucking kill myself.
Right.
Like this is, it's not just a video game. Like it's a video game until it's not.
Yeah.
If you die in the Matrix, you die for real.
You
bro.
die for real. But those moments of just like, okay, like, wow, like if you cut me, I bleed. It's so easy to just forget about all that. But then you have a death in the family. Someone gets sick. You lose your superpowers for a little bit.
Yep.
And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I have to actually look at myself, I guess. Those moments are valuable.
When was yours, Jill? Your last like forced self-reflection?
Gosh.
You've had a lot
I guess
in the last
yeah,
little
like
bit,
I've
but-
had a lot in the last couple of years. One thing that has happened recently, actually, and I'm actually going to be posting about this soon and writing on this, is the question: are you justified or are you happy? So one of the things that has come up a lot for myself and for I feel like a lot of women I work with is finding justification for your pain and for your hurt is really easy.
Yeah.
Like just being like if you feel like you were wronged or you feel like someone hurt you or you're offended by something, or it's really easy to go to like 100 people and say, hey, let me tell you what happened. And you tell them what happened. They're like, yeah, you should be mad about that. Like that's not hard. 100 out of 100 people will say you're justified.
Right.
And you are.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that emotion of anger, hurt, pain, whatever is wrong. It's just then you're in that state of anger, hurt, and pain, right? Like,
It's like, where does it get you?
Right, and it's fine, and and I think we all need time to be in that space. If it's a relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or a parent relationship, child relationship, coworker relationship, job relationship, whatever. And I do believe the relationships are the things that help us. They're like the mirror, right? To look at our own shit. Without them, we don't elevate. They're the tools that we need. So these things, that's why I kind of feel like, and I said this on the last podcast, that they're kind of like our soulmates. They kind of show us the ways in which we can get better. And so if I'm going around angry, hurt, mad, and pain, I'm justified 100% because everyone agreed with me. But am I happy? And so for me, making the shift of I don't want to be angry anymore. I don't want to feel done wrong anymore, even though, of course, I could feel justified. I can go around and just be in that space and defend it. And I'm validated, of course. Or I can just be like, you know what? I'm sick of this. It's exhausting. It's actually exhausting to be angry.
Yeah.
It's so fucking exhausting.
Yeah.
And just getting to the point where I don't want to have to feel this way. But here's the caveat that is really tricky. Giving up your hurt over something feels like a betrayal of self. When you give up the hurt, you give up the
Right.
pain, it almost, because it becomes your identity in a sense, right? Like it has become your identity. I'm the one who was done wrong, or I'm the one who was hurt, or I was the one who was, and so I'm just speaking from like my own romantic relationship. It's easy to feel justified, but still the emotions that you're feeling on a day-to-day, minute-to-minute, hour-to-hour basis is not amazing.
Yeah.
And so I came to this point where I was like, I don't want to feel this way anymore. I'm exhausted. I'm actually really tired. I would rather just feel good.
Yeah.
I'd rather feel happy and happiness and enjoy. And giving up the identity of someone who was done wrong or hurt or in pain or whatever felt tough and scary because now that means I have to move on. And I don't know what moving on looks like. I know what pain feels like, and that's familiar.
Yep.
Pain feels familiar. And so moving on feels scarier. And when I made that shift, and I was actually at a Byron Katie event here in LA, it was a 4-day event, and I had like such an emotional response that I got physically ill. Like day 2, I was so physically ill that I couldn't even finish the conference. And after that, I was totally like, I did a 180, and I'm like, I'm just over it. I'm good. I'm actually good. Like I'm not angry. I'm not sad. I'm like, everything is good. And since then, I have been in like complete joy in my relationships because I'm just like, I'm not on that level. And so, but I get checked, right? Like some things come up, and I've had people say to me, I'm mad for you. I'm angry for you. Or, and I'm just like, thank you. I'm actually not angry anymore.
Yeah.
It's really weird for people to be like, I'm mad on your behalf. And I'm like, great, but that's like your shit.
You're like, yeah, you're fine.
And I was angry for a long time. So so the question is, are you justified or are you happy? Feeling justified is easy.
Yep.
Searching out the happiness and like letting go of all the anger, pain, like whatever you're dealing with is a lot harder. But it's like, how do you want to feel?
Yep.
Don't let your ego get in the way. Like you were saying, like don't let your ego get in the way. Yep. And so for me, that stuff still comes up for me. And I'm appreciative of the opportunities to check myself.
I think
Before you wreck yourself.
it's easier to be attached to the pain and the self-hate
Totally.
and all that because that covers up the love. Like the deeper core of yourself. I think it's love. And then that's the vulnerable part.
Yeah.
So it's when you are, and that's the thing that separates like good from great or your best.
Yeah.
Once it's like cool, it's like I brought you like the band thing over. I'm like Jill, like
Shout out.
this is the no, you don't need to explain it, but I'm saying like I'm genuinely excited, like this is good. to have that thing where it's like, I'm bringing you this thing, like this is as good as I can do.
Right.
And it's also awesome.
And
I love when you bring me gifts.
doing that from a personality place, doing that from like a deeper place other than like a material.
Yeah.
It's like it's easy because the material's still separate from you.
Yeah.
But it's a part, but it's a lot easier, I think, for people to lead with the self-hatred. And it's like
Self-hatred or hatred of others.
Yeah.
or others. I think it's all kind of the same.
I do think the self-hatred is like a little bit of an elevated version.
Yeah.
Because I deal with a lot of women
Yeah.
who don't blame other people or complain about other people, but they blame themselves.
Right.
Which is just like a more evolved version of victimhood. It's like a martyrdom.
I used
Yeah.
to just
Right.
define
Yeah.
self-hatred. And like what
Right.
exactly does that mean? Because that can mean so many different things for so many
Totally.
different
For me,
people.
it's not a feeling of not good enough.
It's like unworthiness.
Yeah, unworthiness, not good enough, insecurity.
Right. And then is that a protection mechanism? Because as long as you felt that way to start, then you never were actually all in.
Totally.
And so,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of the thing is as long as we're in that place of like, self-hatred is like really strong, but whatever, fill in the blank word that
Yeah.
feels better,
Yeah.
As opposed to being genuine, like this is
I think
me.
it is, to your point, I do think it is like a hating of self.
Yeah.
It is,
It's
really
like, this is me. This is the best I can do. I am bringing it right now. And when you're in that space, like, it actually felt really vulnerable for me just to say that.
Yeah, totally.
And it's like one of those things. It's like, oh, it feels really good once you get over that, but to actually get to that point is a really big step.
It's like ripping a Band-Aid off. It really is.
Yeah.
Like allowing yourself to feel that vulnerability. And it's super scary, but as soon as you do it the first time, you're just like, why was I even stressed about this? I know you've had that
Totally.
too. Like we talked about
Yeah.
vulnerability in the last time.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like the first time is always the hardest. It's like ripping a Band-Aid off. But on the other side of that, there's like this momentary pain. On the other side of this, it's like this like ease and liberation and like not caring about what
Yeah.
anyone thinks. It's just like, here I am. It's that authenticity piece is cool.
It's always that jumping out of the airplane metaphor where like it builds up, and then your toes are hanging off the edge.
You're like so scared of what will happen, and you're like, oh, isn't that bad? Like it was
Once
still
you're-
scary,
yeah.
but it wasn't as bad as you built it up to be.
Well, it's euphoria when you're flying.
Yeah.
You're flying, and that's like, it's like, why was I so scared of
Right.
now that I'm on the ground? And there's
Yeah.
so many things like that, bungee jumping, and taking any big leap in
Totally.
life. Those are just easy because they happen quickly.
Or the
but-
conversation, hard conversation.
or talking, or if, for a lot of guys, and like talking to a girl.
Yeah.
Like, oh, why was I so worried about that? Why
Yeah.
was I sweating? I was
Well-
feeling
Still
weird.
scary.
Stop. I mean, it's scary, but it's like once you do it the first time, the second time, you've kind
But
of
it's
been
scary
like,
because you care. Like, it's a good thing. If it
People-
wasn't scary, it's like, who are you fucking kidding? Like, what?
yeah.
Well, surprisingly,
it's like,
that-
that's true.
Jill
Yeah.
and I did back in November our compliment challenge.
Oh my God.
We
Yes.
did
No,
this-
December. Yeah.
December we
December.
decided to do
Compliment
it.
challenge.
We did this
Hilarious.
21-day compliment challenge, which we made it 4 days.
So it wasn't a compliment
So,
challenge.
it was-
Congratulations.
It wasn't technically.
Killed it.
But
Killed
it was so we had to compliment someone of the opposite sex, and we had to say something about them being attractive. So it wasn't just like, "Hey,
I
nice
like
shirt."
your shirt. It
Yeah.
wasn't like we couldn't say it to the checkout
Yeah.
chick at Whole Foods. Like,
It
oh,
had to
you're
be
really
a.
pretty.
It had to be
someone of the opposite sex.
Opposite sex, and we had to be basically like, "I think you're really attractive, and I thought you should know." So that was really hard for us to like get up the curtain. Like
is
we
really
were,
hard.
we were at the gym. We're like, okay, we can't leave until we give someone a compliment, and I chickened out like so many times. I'm like,
Really?
I can't do it. I can't fucking do
I
it.
feel like you would be all over that just anyways.
I normally think I would, but it was freaking me out.
Because we had a couple scripts that we used.
Yes.
Okay.
We had a
You had a template for compliments
have a
in the
template.
gym?
I had the Bumble
crazy.
swipe
That's
files. So it's on my phone for real.
What did you call the files?
Bumble swipe files.
Bumble swipe files.
That's
gotta get some
first
of
off, that's an ebook that's going to be coming out next month, $9.99.
So I
PleasureMonkeyLife.com.
remember the first day we did it. After we did, like the guy was like, "Oh my god!" Like we made their day, and we left, and we were like on such a high. We're like, "Oh my god, that was so great! It was so fun," and it felt so good. But we were terrified to say these things, and it didn't. I feel like it didn't really get easier actually,
No.
but it always felt great after. But the thought before, I don't know what we were thinking. Like, who's going to be offended if you're like, "Hey, I think you're attractive," but it's like putting yourself out there.
I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think you were scared of them being offended.
No.
I mean, I think they'd be like feel good about it, but I think for me it was the vulnerability.
The vulnerability,
and
yeah,
then being on the
vulnerable.
hook. Okay, if I'm just going to give someone a compliment,
You want
I
nothing
don't want
right.
like I don't really necessarily want there to be anything else. I
Yeah.
just want to be like, hey, I see you, I appreciate you. You know, I think
Yeah.
all of us kind of do that.
Yeah.
But that's the vulnerability that's
Yeah,
scary.
the
And now
vulnerability.
am I on the hook to produce something?
Right.
I had that happen actually because
We don't have to date now. I just
then
want to compliment you.
Exactly. So I had this happen. I was at a bar and I noticed I guess I've been noticing more because just see how noticing how women dress more,
Yeah.
like with trends and they put a lot of. I can tell when someone puts a lot of effort into it and does a really good job. And I was at this bar and it was kind of like probably 1 a.m. and I wasn't drunk or anything. I was just hanging out and I walked by this girl. I was like, "Hey, your outfit's like killing it.
Yeah.
Like good job." And you could see like her eyes lit up because most guys wouldn't say it to her. But I didn't want to know her name. I didn't need to know anything.
Yeah.
I just kept walking, and you could tell she was like excited for a second,
Yeah.
and then completely devastated when I just kept.
Right.
she wanted me to like as if it was a line.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's all. Like that's all I needed to say. It was like this looks great.
It gave me a new perspective for men because a lot of guys will, and we like, and it's terrible for women too. We're like, oh, this guy's such a creeper. He's saying this and that, but it actually made me go, dang, guys have a lot of guts to say something.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
sometimes
true.
they'll say something really stupid and creepy, but then after we were trying it, I was like, well, no wonder it comes out creepy because sometimes you just feel stupid and you're scared and you're intimidated. And I felt like probably I said some kind of creepy sounding shit because I don't know what I was saying.
It's only creepy if you're not cute about it.
Right. And once we had the files, we were good.
Yeah, we
I
had
see
to,
how-
it
I
was
see
a-
how
if
creepy
we
I can
just
go
kept
without
to the
getting creepy
just
people
kept
out.
to the script. We're good. We had just to keep to the script. But
The reason we did it, by the way,
I wish the script was here. I need
was
read
to
this.
get
Oh, it's
our
on my phone.
the reason we did it was to get our romantic energy
energy.
flowing. Like we were just like, you know what? Let's just be more open. Let's just
Yeah.
like put a lot of feelers out there.
But the reason we
Metaphorically.
stopped was because the guys we would see every day, and then it became an issue because I think they thought we wanted them.
You need to like do it to people on the street.
Yeah, we
I think
decided.
that's
We
how it needs to go.
realized.
Yeah,
We
it can't
realized
be
we
it.
couldn't just be at the gym because we'd see the same people every day, and we're like, oh shit.
Go cruise to Abbot
Could you
Kinney and
guys-
compliment long t-shirts and
Could
stuff.
you guys coach Connor and I on what is not creepy from a guy?
That's a
Like,
great
what do
question.
you want to receive from a man in the street?
I personally don't ever feel super creeped out. Like I think a lot of women jump to like, ooh, and I'm like, for me, I always like give the person the benefit of the doubt, and I'm just like, that's amazing. Like I recognize personally, and I think you're very much the same
Yeah.
way. I don't really know an example of creepiness.
I think creepiness is when you just keep pushing. After somebody says thank you, and then you're like, yeah, but
Well, let's
know.
With that ass,
let's
though.
skip
like if
creepy.
you just keep going, you're like, okay, I didn't
yeah,
ask.
but
I
but what about
appreciate
that
it.
ass?
So seriously, like, what about that ass? I know, it's like, yeah, you get great eyes, but that ass.
I'll
though,
even
girl.
say this, like that might, or it may or may not be creepy. Like
That might
somebody
work,
could say, like
actually.
your ass looks amazing, and I'd be like, thank you. And
Damn.
somebody could say it, and you'd be like, ooh. I think a lot of it has to do with the vibe. A lot of it has to do with how much is hanging around. Like if you're just lingering. If you just
Yeah.
say a compliment and you take off, you're like, cool, that was fine. But if you're like,
I think compliment
Hey.
move.
Yeah.
Here's what
Compliment
you do.
move.
No, what
Yeah.
here's a life hack. What you do is you give a compliment and then breathe loudly with your mouth open and make eye contact. That's my move.
Oh God.
Kind of like
like that
belly
ass
breath.
looks
like,
amazing.
I think
and
there's.
imagine all the women that are listening to this right now. All three of them are like, yes.
So I'm gonna
Lee, I
share.
hope I run into you someday.
Me
I think I'm actually going to share
Live
with you
me
guys
and Joe.
like
Uh-oh.
a tip that I actually learned from my ex, ironically.
Oh, God.
JT to shout out.
What
He
up,
calls
JT?
it he calls it confident detachment, and I think it works really well, which is I'm going to give you a compliment, but I don't need anything in return.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to say this to you because I just feel like I want to. Talk to you later. Like it's very like confident and detached to outcomes. And I think that is the most attractive
Yeah.
version of giving a compliment.
So you're
Being-
saying it's not attractive if I compliment your eyeliner and then I expect a blowjob in return.
right.
Okay, so
Or
that's
like-
not cool. But
Or
that's
the
dick is
expectation
literally-
of
I've
like,
been going about
no,
this
but
all
I-
wrong for years.
But I
Damn.
complimented
I thought it was
you
like, yeah.
now, but now we're all of a sudden in a relationship. Like that's not
Obviously,
Right.
so I compliment you in some way, and then I send you a friendship or a relationship request
Yes.
on Facebook immediately
To
afterwards.
Connor's point, though, actually, I think some men do that. It's like they give a compliment and they literally think that they expect something. They're like, I told you were pretty. Like, now we should be dating. You're like, okay, but
That
lots
was
of
for
people
you.
tell me that, and it's fine. Like,
right, and I
that doesn't-
appreciate it, but like it doesn't earn you.
like everyone thinks I'm pretty, of course. So why? But no, I think some men. I don't know whether it's entitlement or they just feel like that's the way they get in. But literally, I think some people will think if they compliment eyeliner, they should get a
They
blowjob, and
sk-
you're like, no.
The thing about it
You're-
is,
don't expect anything.
I was going to say, I
it's
think that's
actually
the
worked
case.
at some point.
Yeah.
It's actually worked for them at some point. That's why. Or they thought it was going to work, or they watched porn too much.
Right.
You hit
Maybe
the nail on
that.
the head with expectation.
Yeah.
So I can tell you, I'm very open to compliments, and I'm just like, wow, that's like you. Like
Yeah.
I'm just really like I'm like, thank you, that means so much to me, or like I can appreciate that, or whatever. But as soon as there's an expectation for how you need to respond,
Right.
that's when I'm like, actually, like no. So I think that's why I like the confident attachment piece. Like, say what you're going to say from a place of like, I just want to share this, but I have zero expectation of this is going to get me a date. This is going to get me a phone number. This is going to get me anything except the satisfaction of telling this person that I truly think that they're prettier, that like their outfit or whatever. And so, and even as women, like, you know, that's what we were doing. We're like, we're just going to tell this dude that like we think he's attractive. We're going to walk away and never talk to him again. And like, that's, I don't know, just to like brighten his day. Or, and a lot of guys actually told us like this totally made our day. Yeah. Which made my day.
I think you can take that into a relationship though too. You know, if it's a transactional or relational compliments. That's what we can talk about.
Yeah.
There's transactional and relational interactions in business or in life, and it's like, are you saying the thing or doing the thing for something in return?
Are you a manipulator?
Am I grabbing flowers at Whole Foods because I want something in return, or because I just think it's like I like the fact that it makes you smile, and that's all I need. You know, and even if it becomes like just a thing that I do and whatever, it's just I'm doing it because I enjoy doing it, or I'm saying a thing or acknowledging a thing. Am I doing it for?
I think ultimately
come back to
women respond, and I would say men too. I think all of us don't want to be manipulated or think that somebody's doing something to get something out.
Exactly.
So I think a genuine compliment is going to get you laid more often than a compliment that's trying to get you laid. Like by accident, if you do it by accident, just by not trying, I feel like you're going to have a better chance than by actually trying.
It's more often, I'll say this from my personal experience, that saying less will probably get you laid more than saying more.
Totally.
Well, because you come off as more confident.
Yeah, you do. It's like, you know, you don't need, and that's even things, even in flirting, even in daily interactions, even in whatever, like let them be what they are, man. If you have a fun connection with somebody at the time, and if you over pursue that, it makes it adds, it's like tarnishes this connection when it's like, let it be what it is and like let things happen organically. You know, if you get the number, you get the number. If you don't, you don't, but you move on. You're like, that was fun. That brightened this moment. I was actually there. It brought me to the present. And that's fucking awesome. Versus like, oh, what would have happened if this would have happened? Then what would have happened if this? And but if I talk to her this way, am I going to take her home tonight? Or I fucking need to call an Uber, but I hope the Uber like smells nice. I don't know. You end up being everywhere besides there. It's like, I don't know. Like I didn't rub one out before I went out, so it probably won't last very long. Shit, should I go to the bathroom? No, this is not me. This is just some guys I know.
This is just a scenario. We're just talking of a scenario, completely made up scenario.
I think it's a heard of the thing sometimes, but no. But it's these expectations. Not only do they make things, you know, less ideal, but they take you away from the present moment.
I think that's when things get creepy, when you start just overanalyzing. If you could just be relaxed and not have so many expectations, you're so much.
And it also doesn't need to be. It can't be like a gimmick or a protocol or like contrived. And you know, it's the same thing with like, I do business coaching. It's the same with marketing, right? Like if you're like, let me put these words together in the specific arrangement to sell somebody. It's like people can sniff out bullshit. Women potentially, they can sniff out bullshit. Like people are more savvy than ever. Customers are more savvy. Like whatever. It's all the same stuff. Like authenticity is always, I don't know. And it's also a discernment tool, right? So like you're like, here I am, this is how I feel. And if someone's like, fuck you, you're like, well, I guess that wasn't the person, because if someone doesn't want me, I don't want them. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, it's just the expectation, it creates the potential to be disappointed. Yeah. As well. Christine Hassler talks a lot about that. If this is all resonating with you, go check out Expectation Hangover by our friend Christine Hassler.
I think we gave her a shout out on our last one too.
I give Christine shout outs on all the podcasts.
I did an interview with her. I did a success series interview, and Jill was one of them, and I had a couple people, and Christine was too, and she's got so much great stuff.
She does.
She deserves all the shout outs.
She deserves all the shout outs. And she gives great hugs.
I don't know. I'm going to have to hug her again. I don't remember
you should
my
make
hugs.
that happen.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we covered a lot of stuff, guys.
Yeah, we started with Teen Vogue, anal sex, and then we ended up here.
We started with
from
anal
the bottom
sex.
when we're here.
Literally.
Boom. And
I think it's time for dinner and
subscribe to the channel.
Subscribe to the podcast. Everybody leave a 5-star review after this.
Subscribe to this podcast. Listen to this podcast. This one.
We started. Know what it's about. Can you title this
Wait,
one? Can you
stupid
title this
advertising.
one? We started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Started from the bottom.
They're already listening to this podcast.
That's the
definitely
name.
going to be the title.
We started from the bottom. Now we're here.
We don't really actually know what this podcast is about, though.
Oh,
the
that's the
podcast is
whole
never.
point.
It's like Seinfeld. The
That's the whole
podcast. It's
point.
like not really.
That's the point. The point is we have no point.
The point is we have no point. The point is that we are just expressing ourselves in the best way that we know how, and without an agenda, without any expectations, without an outline.
Yeah.
We're just being, because all of us are so goddamn ambitious,
And then tune
that we
in-
need to have microphones on to be present.
And
I
this
feel like
chick
we need
is
to
too.
talk
She's
with
very ambitious. This little girl.
yeah.
Be
Shout
sure
out to Pip the dog.
Be sure to tune
Pip
into the
the
next
Pomsky.
episode where Connor was going to break down his molded cock. What's the
Whoa, we're getting real.
Yes,
We're
that will be
getting
the
real.
next
That was a
episode.
surprise for everyone. There was a surprise. Hold out,
We
guys.
will
Just
do another
follow-
episode on that.
We're gonna
Should
do
we
it
go
after.
around and everyone should say their
really
favorite
is
sex
gonna
toy?
be the next.
I don't have any. Well, okay, yeah, I do. Okay, everybody, let's go around and talk about everyone's favorite sex toy before we'll
Danny
round
J
it
has-
off.
look at her, she's
We're an
looking.
hour. Hey, Danny's like, I have so many. I was
Well,
like, in the red
up
room.
until like I was going to say 2 months ago, but maybe a year ago, I didn't even know about all the things. So now I'm thinking, what's the like straps at the arms and legs?
Sport sheets.
No.
Stirrups?
Like suspension. What is
Aaron would know. I don't know. my hands.
basically I just want to be tied up by
It's the
all
only thing that gets
four
holding-
things. By
Okay.
all four limbs.
Is it like some Game of Thrones? Like you're on a wheel and you spin it? Like
I've
the
never
wheel
seen
of
Game of Thrones, a single episode.
wheel of
but
Fourth Poon?
Sounds good.
what?
I haven't seen a single game of. I haven't seen a single game. I haven't seen a single episode of Game of Thrones.
Okay, so you want to be you're down with like the tied down.
Yeah.
Okay, Aaron, what about you?
So I recently did. I worked with a sex therapist.
Amazing.
Which was
Tell
really
us
fun.
more.
And she did pretty much like every sex toy that she had access to upon my body.
Did she
Wait,
do the
what?
Did she do the 4-point strap? What was it called?
I don't know the names. I was just
gonna need to Google that.
silently weeping the whole time.
Go follow DannyJ.com on Instagram and let her know what the 4-strap harness thing is.
And I literally don't like any sex toy. The only thing that I am like turned on by is oil. I'm like human. I like human. As soon as like plastic
Human.
weirdness, I'm just like, get this fucking thing out of here. Like, it's weird to me.
Yeah, I feel
Sorry
you.
for being boring.
I'm with that.
I like it.
Coconut
Oil's rad though.
Oh,
I'm
oil's
like on
great.
board with oil.
Coconut
like,
oil.
Oil is
everything.
tricky
My
though.
favorite
Like,
sex
that's
toy is
awesome.
coconut oil.
I feel
Yeah,
like
no, I
there's
think
a
coconut
certain-
oil
It
is
makes
like
all
absolute-
things possible.
You
I think it's my favorite sex toy.
Oil is
coconut
tricky
oil.
with the amount. If you have too much, then you lose all friction. Like you need it to have just a little to still have friction. Otherwise, it feels too slippery. I think.
I just want to be doused in oil. I disagree with everything you're saying.
And firmly disagree.
Agree to
Hard
dis-
disagree.
Agree to disagree.
I want to be doused in oil. Wow. Organic.
All right, Jill.
Raw.
what's yours?
Very important. Your
Yeah.
pores are always breathing.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually agree. I've always been like au naturel. Like for me, I definitely agree. Like I like just human on human. But recently, I had been in a relationship that introduced a cock ring, which I really enjoyed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're kind of cool.
Yeah.
Was it a vibrating cock ring?
Yes.
I've got one of those in my bag, literally at the hostel I'm staying at.
I think
You
That's what
should.
this bracelet is.
I think that was
Oh,
actually
okay.
That's intense.
before, or let's say
I mean, it's not like a big like plastic.
Yeah.
What like it's just like a
I
little.
think
No, my full disclosure, mine's not
pre-divorce-
it's still in the package. It was given to me for free.
I
no, it
think
needs to be sanitary. Like make sure that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I think
that's not
pre-divorce,
secondhand.
the only sex toy I ever had played with was a sex cock ring.
Yeah.
It was like the only thing I was open to. But I've
It's a different level.
done a
S
few
for my
things
brother.
now, but I like cock rings. Yeah.
Cock ring.
All right,
I don't know.
cock
I haven't
ring it
used a
is.
cock ring yet at all. So I
Was it a cock and ball cock ring or
No,
just cock?
no, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, go ahead. Go.
Sorry, Mom.
So a good friend of mine actually owns a male performance toy company.
What's the
Performance
company?
toy. It's called
Can we talk
Blueit.
about it?
What is
Yeah.
it.com?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, they just launched a new
Blueit.
version. So it's a good friend of
There's a
mine,
conference here, yeah.
one of my best friends actually, and so I've used it. So I tried. I had to try it out. He actually gave me one. I didn't ever use it. Then he gave me another one. He's like, just use it. Let me know what you think. Give me some feedback. And it's really, really cool. It's similar to like. It's like a not creepy version of a fleshlight, if I want to say it in an easy way, and it helps you. It's almost overstimulates you. So the intention is to get better at actual sex. It's not a fantasy toy, I guess, if you would say that. So it actually is, it's to make you more sensitive and better in those environments. Increase stamina and sensitivity. And here's the way I explain it, because everybody's gonna be like,
longer,
Connor
harder,
put his dick in
faster.
this weird plastic thing. Yeah, I did. Okay, get off my case.
And you
But
would be
what
It
male
wasn't that
hasn't,
weird.
though?
It's less weird than you think. It doesn't look weird, which is first off. But I think there's two really large components to sexuality and human sexuality. The first thing is when we learn how to come and do it kind of by accident, and we spend the next few years hiding it. So we're trying to do it in a hurry with the intention to be orgasms, and then we try and change our whole mindset into, okay, now I have to have sex for 30 minutes for it to be successful, and it becomes kind of about someone else's orgasm unless you're a selfish
stressful.
prick. Yeah, so then that creates anxiety. So there's two really primary components that I feel like that you can bring into the sexual experience, and that's the emotional connection that you have with a person, whatever that may be, and then a physical connection, which is that physical stimulation, the P and the G, if you will. And if you can practice the physical piece and not have to focus so much on that, then you can bring more of your energy into the emotional connection, which only elevates, from my personal experience, elevates that entire love-making time. So I've had good success with it, but it's not so much the toys. I mean, the tool is great, but it actually has made my real-life encounters a little bit better, which is awesome.
Did you say P and the G?
P and the VG.
The
G.
V.
P
Oh,
and the
that threw me
VG.
off because it was just.
The
I
G?
know,
was
he
like,
was like,
what
what's the G?
Where's the G?
Shout out to the
The
G.
VG.
The gallbladder.
The gallbladder.
So good in the gallbladder. There's nothing better.
I like
the P and the
I love
gallbladder.
my favorite sex is
Yeah.
gallbladder sex.
Yeah, I need to enunciate better when I talk about sex, but I get a little nervous, a little excited.
Yeah.
Well, we going to dinner,
On
get
that,
dinner
yeah,
or what?
yeah, I was gonna
On
say
that
on that
note,
So we got all- we got
started
all
from
that.
the bottom. Now we're here.
Started
We're done.
from the bottom. Now we're here with Danny, Jill, and Aaron. All right, guys. Well, that's it. Let's get out of here. Thanks for hanging out.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you guys.
Love everybody.
Peace out, y'all.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. And if you want to check out these super kick-ass guests, you can check out Aaron at Align Podcast on Instagram and check out his podcast, Align Podcast. He is an awesome guy, an awesome interviewer, and he has some of the best guests that I've ever seen in the game. A fantastic human, basically about 47% monkey. He's also always climbing things, always moving around, and sharing his movement with the world. Jill Coleman can be found at jillfit.com, putting out some of the best business coaching, business seminars, and fitness programs that you're going to find anywhere, empowering the fuck out of all the ladies out there. And Danny can be found at dannyj.com, DANNY, the letter J.com. She is a financial guru, empowering people through giving them the tools to create financial freedom. So if any of those things resonate with you, if they all resonate with you, check them out. And if you are loving these conversations, head on over to Facebook, search Pleasure Monkey Life, and request access to the Pleasure Monkey Life Facebook group. All the fun stuff's going down. It's a place for transparency. It's a place for authenticity. It's a place to give cyber high fives to all your Pleasure Monkey homies around the globe. We will see y'all next time. Peace.